The Academy's undefeated champion just hit the mat unconscious, and the human girl's asking if anyone knows where the cafeteria is. Instructor Xylax's primary heart stopped beating in sequence as he stared at the impossible scene before him. Cathorvax, the Cathorvax, Vraxian combat legend, holder of 147 consecutive victories, the living embodiment of predatory perfection, lay sprawled across the training mat, his massive frame completely still. Standing over him, barely winded, was Emma Johnson, human, 19 standard years old, enrolled for exactly 47 minutes. "Is he okay?" Emma asked, genuine concern in her voice as she glanced around the frozen combat arena. "He went down kinda hard. Should I have caught him or something?" Xylax's emergency communicator was already transmitting to Academy Command before his conscious mind caught up with his instincts. Medical to Arena 7, Priority Alpha, Champion down, repeat, Champion down. The other students, elite warriors from 17 different species, each selected from millions of candidates, pressed themselves against the arena walls. None of them had ever seen Cathorvax take damage, let alone fall. Several were making religious gestures. 2 had activated personal shields. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. "Everyone remain calm," Xylax announced, his voice somehow steady, despite the cosmic impossibility unfolding before him. "Miss Johnson, please step away from—" "Oh, sure," Emma moved back, wiping her hands on her standard-issue training pants. "Sorry, I didn't mean to— Wait, is this going to affect my grade? Because the orientation packet said combat assessments were pass-fail, and he did say to use any technique I wanted." The medical team burst through the arena doors, anti-grav stretcher humming. Chief Medical Officer Janira took one look at Cathorvax and her facial chromatophores flashed distress purple. "What happened? What hit him?" "She did." Xylax pointed at Emma, who was now examining her fingernails with apparent disinterest. Janira's 3 eyes rotated independently to focus on the human. She's instructor, that's a human." "I'm aware. Humans are Category 7 physical specimens. Cathorvax is Category 2. The strength differential alone—" "I know the categories, Doctor. Please just tell me if our champion is alive." The medical scanners played over Cathorvax's body. Janira's expression shifted from disbelief to scientific fascination to outright alarm in rapid succession. "Neural shock, severe. His pain receptors are overloaded. Multiple pressure points simultaneously triggered. Instructor, the angle of force application here it's biomechanically impossible for his species to defend against. It's like someone found a cheat code in his nervous system." "I just used a basic arm drag into a rear naked choke," Emma offered helpfully. "He left his neck open when he rushed in. Coach Martinez always said to watch for that." Every head turned toward her. "You used a what into a what?" Xylax demanded. Emma blinked. "Wrestling moves? Do you guys not have wrestling? It's like super old. Humans have been doing it for thousands of years." The arena doors crashed open again. Commander Azila strode in, her ceremonial command armor glinting under the training lights. She was Kael Dran, one of the most strategically brilliant species in the known galaxy, and her arrival meant this situation had already escalated beyond facility-level protocols. "Report," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. Xylax felt his career flashing before his eyes. "Commander, during routine first-day combat assessment, the human student executed a takedown on champion Cathorvax. Time to unconsciousness. 3.7 seconds. The silence that followed could have suffocated stars. Azila's gaze fixed on Emma with the intensity of a tactical laser. "You're the human." "Yes, ma'am. Emma Johnson from Iowa. That's on Earth, if that helps." "I know where Iowa is, Cadet." Azila moved closer, circling Emma like a predator studying unfamiliar prey. "You defeated Cathorvax in under 4 seconds. Is that bad? He seemed pretty confident, so I figured I should move fast before he figured out my reach disadvantage. Your reach disadvantage. Azila's laugh was sharp enough to cut hull plating. Cadet Johnson, Cathorvax has won battles against opponents twice his size. He once fought 7 opponents simultaneously and won in under a minute. He is trained in 43 combat disciplines across 18 gravity environments. Emma nodded thoughtfully. Yeah, but did any of those opponents know jujitsu? I don't know what that is. Well, there's your problem. Behind them, Cathorvax groaned and stirred. The medical team immediately administered additional sedation. He's coming around, Janira reported, but I'm keeping him under until we understand what happened. Commander, I need to run full neurological scans. Whatever she did, it bypassed every defense instinct his species evolved over millions of years. Azila's command tablet was already flooding with incident reports, emergency protocols, and urgent communiques from Defense Force Command. The defeat of an Academy champion on recorded training footage had triggered automatic review sequences across 17 departments. Instructor Zelax, isolate all combat footage from this session. Cadet Johnson, you're coming with me. Am I in trouble? Emma asked, finally looking concerned. Because I really did just do what he asked. He said to demonstrate my best technique, so I did. You're not in trouble, Cadet, but we need to understand exactly what you did and how you did it. Azila paused. And whether you can do it again. Emma shrugged. I mean, yeah? That's kind of the whole point of training, consistency. In the background, medical teams were loading Cathorvax onto the stretcher, the champion, scourge of training, arenas across 3 sectors. The warrior who had made grown soldiers weep was being carried away unconscious, defeated by a human girl who was now asking directions to the cafeteria. Zelax felt the fundamental assumptions of his 30-year military career beginning to crack. If a Category 7 human could disable a Category 2 Vraxian in seconds, what did that say about every combat doctrine they'd developed? Every training protocol, every strategic assessment of human military capabilities? Sir, one of the students ventured nervously, should we continue the assessment rotation? Zelax looked at the remaining students, then at Emma, then at the space where their invincible champion had just been carried away unconscious. Class dismissed, he said quietly. Everyone, just go to your quarters. We'll resume when we understand what just happened. As the arena emptied, Emma turned to Commander Azila with an apologetic smile. So, about that cafeteria, I missed breakfast on the shuttle and I'm absolutely starving. Does this place have anything like pizza? Because I was promised the Academy had cuisine from across the galaxy, and I'm really hoping that includes something with cheese. Azila stared at her for a long moment, then tapped her communicator. Command, this is Azila. Initiate Protocol 17. We have a Category 1 paradigm event. Human combat capabilities require immediate reassessment. She paused. And someone get this cadet a meal. Apparently she's hungry. Emma grinned. Thanks. Oh, and if anyone wants to know how I did that thing, I'm happy to explain. It's really not that complicated once you understand leverage and body mechanics. My high school coach always said, if you can't win with strength, win with physics. Somewhere in the Academy's medical bay, Cathorvax was waking up to discover that his undefeated record, his reputation, and his understanding of combat had all ended in less time than it took to breathe. And the human who'd done it was worried about lunch. The Academy's primary medical facility had never been designed for this level of command presence. Commander Azila stood in the observation gallery above the main diagnostic theater, surrounded by senior instructors, combat theorists, and 3 very nervous xenobiologists, all watching the holographic replay for the 17th time. Freeze there, Azila commanded. Explain what I'm seeing. Dr. R. Hill, the Academy's senior combat theorist, manipulated the hologram with trembling manipulator tendrils. At timestamp 2.3 seconds, Cathorvax initiates his standard power approach. textbook Vraxian combat doctrine, optimized over 60,000 years of predatory evolution. He's attempting to use his mass advantage to overwhelm the opponent. Standard approach, Xilax confirmed. I've seen him execute it hundreds of times. It's never failed. Watch the human. Rahel zoomed in on Emma's movements, slowing the footage to frame by frame. Progression. She doesn't retreat or brace for impact. Instead, I don't even have terminology for this. She rotates her skeletal structure in a manner that should require complete joint dislocation. The hologram showed Emma's body moving in ways that made several observers visibly uncomfortable. Her shoulder rotated backward beyond any angle in their combat databases. Her spine twisted through an arc that their physics models flagged as structurally impossible. Her hips shifted through a range of motion that violated every principle of bipedal locomotion they'd documented. "That's not possible," whispered instructor Talana, a Silurian combat specialist with 40 years of experience. "Her bones should be breaking, multiple fractures minimum." And yet, Rahil advanced the footage. At timestamp 2.7 seconds, she's not only intact, but has redirected Cathorvax's momentum through a fulcrum point that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional combat space. Emma had somehow positioned herself inside Cathorvax's attack vector, using his own force against him while simultaneously targeting pressure points that Vraxian anatomy wasn't supposed to be vulnerable to, because those points should have been impossible to reach without killing the attacker first. At timestamp 3.1 seconds, R. Hill continued, his voice tight with academic distress. She's applied pressure to 7 different neural clusters simultaneously. The probability of randomly targeting that specific combination is, he consulted his calculations, 1 in 400 million, and she did it instinctively during active combat while being attacked by a superior opponent. Azila leaned forward. "Is Cathorvax awake?" "Yes, Commander," Janira replied via communicator. "Conscious, coherent, and profoundly confused. He's demanding a rematch." Denied. "I'm not risking our champion's neurological health until we understand what happened." Azila turned to her senior staff. "Recommendations?" "We need to test if this was an anomaly," Xilax said immediately. "One data point isn't enough." Perhaps Cathorvax was simply caught off guard. In a prepared scenario. "You want to test her against another student?" Talana interrupted. "After watching that footage, who would volunteer?" "I would." Every head turned toward the doorway. Lirana stood there, her tall, elegant frame radiating controlled confidence. She was the Academy's top-ranged combat specialist, a species evolved for precision, speed, and strategic distance fighting. Her record was immaculate, 63 wins, 0 losses, and a reflexive speed that had once caught a plasma bolt mid-flight. "Absolutely not," Azila said flatly. "Commander, with respect, we need to know if the human's technique works against different physiologies. I'm nothing like Cathorvax. Different skeletal structure, different neurological layout, different combat style entirely." Lirana stepped into the observation gallery. "And I won't let her close enough to touch me. My species' entire combat doctrine is based on maintaining distance." Rahil consulted his tablet. "Mathematically, Lirana has a significant advantage. Her reach is twice the human's. Her reflexive speed is 4 times faster. If she maintains defensive spacing, the human's close combat techniques become irrelevant." Azila studied the younger officer. Lirana was brilliant, cautious, and devastatingly effective. If anyone could test Emma's capabilities safely, it would be her. Controlled environment, Azila decided. Full medical support, safety protocols on maximum, and Lirana, the instant something feels wrong, you disengage. Understood. "Understood, Commander." 30 minutes later, Arena 7 was reconfigured. Medical teams flanked every exit, senior staff filled the observation gallery, and Emma Johnson stood in the center of the combat mat, stretching her arms above her head with casual ease. So, are we doing this or, Emma asked, rotating her shoulders in a movement that made the xenobiologists wince. Not trying to rush anyone, but I do actually have xenobiology homework due tomorrow, and Professor Vexthul seems pretty strict about deadlines. Lirana entered from the opposite side, moving with predatory grace. You defeated Cathorvax. Impressive. But Vraxians rely on brute force. I do not. Cool, Emma said cheerfully. Hey, quick question. Do you guys have different weight classes here? Because back home, we don't usually match people with huge size differences. Seems kinda unfair. Unfair to whom? Emma grinned. Good point. Okay, I'm ready when you are. Azila activated the arena systems. Controlled sparring match. First to 3 confirmed strikes or 1 submission. Begin. Lirana moved immediately, her body blurring with speed as she created distance. She circled the arena perimeter, forcing Emma to rotate and track her movement, a standard disorientation technique that had defeated countless opponents. Emma just stood there, relaxed, hands loose at her sides. You're really fast. That's pretty cool. Lirana struck from maximum range, her extended limb snapping out with pile-driver force toward Emma's center mass, a probing attack designed to test reactions and establish threat parameters. Emma stepped offline, minimal movement, letting the strike pass within centimeters of her body. Nice extension. Your reach is crazy. Stop talking and fight, Lirana snapped, circling faster now, looking for openings. I am fighting. You're just not attacking yet, you're testing. Emma tilted her head. Coach Martinez used to do the same thing. He called it finding the tell. Everyone's got one. Lirana launched a combination, 3 strikes from different angles, each one precisely calculated to force Emma into a defensive position that would create a genuine opening. It was a technique that had never failed against Category 7 opponents. Emma moved through the attacks like water, flowing around stones. Minimal effort, maximum efficiency, her body seeming to know where each strike would be before it arrived. And then, as Lirana's 3rd strike extended, Emma closed the distance in a single flowing motion that looked like casual walking, but covered 3 meters in under a second. Wait! Lirana tried to retreat, her superior speed engaging, but Emma was already inside her defense, one hand on Lirana's wrist, the other behind her elbow. And suddenly, Lirana was rotating through the air, her own momentum completely hijacked. They hit the mat together. Emma's body twisted into another impossible configuration, her legs wrapping around Lirana's arm, her weight distributed in a manner that the combat AI flagged as a mathematical impossibility, and Lirana felt her shoulder joint reaching its stress limit. Tap if it hurts, Emma said calmly. I don't want to actually injure you. Lirana tapped frantically. Emma released immediately, rolling backward and bouncing to her feet with disturbing ease. 4.2 seconds. Total. In the observation gallery, there was absolute silence. That, Arhill whispered, his voice hoarse, should not be physically possible. Azila's command tablet was erupting with emergency protocols again. Another Academy champion defeated. Another combat doctrine invalidated. Another fundamental assumption shattered. On the mat, Emma was helping Lirana to her feet. You okay? That armbar can be intense if you're not used to it. Lirana stared at her with something approaching religious awe. What are you? I'm from Iowa, Emma replied, as if that explained everything. We wrestle a lot there. It's kind of a thing. Do you guys want to go again, or should I head to that homework? Down in the medical bay, Cathorvax was demanding to see the footage. In the observation gallery, senior staff were experiencing collective existential crisis. And somewhere in Defense Force Command, alert protocols were cascading upward through military hierarchy, each level more urgent than the last. Because if one human could defeat 2 Academy champions in under 10 seconds of total combat time, using techniques that violated known physics and bypassed millions of years of evolutionary defense mechanisms, then every strategic assessment, Every military projection, every defensive doctrine involving human worlds needed immediate and comprehensive revision. Emma Johnson, age 19, from a place called Iowa, had just invalidated the entire galactic military training system, and she was worried about homework. "This is unprecedented." Dr. R. Hill's voice carried the hollow quality of someone watching their life's work crumble. He stood at the center of Academy Command's strategic planning room, surrounded by holographic displays showing combat footage from 17 different angles. Everything we know about combat theory, everything we've codified over 40,000 years of interspecies warfare studies, is inadequate. Commander Azila sat at the head of the conference table, flanked by the Academy's entire senior staff and 3 remote-linked representatives from Defense Force Command. The room's atmosphere was thick with tension and poorly suppressed panic. "Let's focus on practical assessment," Azila said, her command voice cutting through the growing chaos. "We have 2 data points, both Academy champions, both defeated in seconds by unconventional techniques. What do we actually know?" "We know that human flexibility exceeds any previously documented bipedal species by a factor of 3, offered Dr. Janira, pulling up comparative anatomy charts. Their shoulder joints have a rotational capability of nearly 360 degrees. Their spinal articulation allows for extreme angles that would paralyze most species. And their hip structure, she highlighted a skeletal model, permits movements that our physics models initially flagged as measurement errors. Flexibility alone doesn't explain the neural targeting, Zilax interjected. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past 2 hours. Both Cathorvax and Lirana reported that the pain was, they used the same word, intelligent, as if Johnson knew exactly where their nervous systems were most vulnerable. "Because she does," said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned. Emma stood there, escorted by 2 very nervous security officers. She was holding a half-eaten sandwich and her homework tablet. "Sorry to interrupt," Emma continued, "but someone said you wanted to talk to me? Also, do you guys actually need the security escort? Because they've been super nice, but they seem really on edge, and I don't want to stress anyone out." Azila gestured to an empty seat. "Cadet Johnson, please, join us. The guards can wait outside." The security officers looked relieved as they departed. Emma settled into her chair, setting down her sandwich with care. "So what's up? Am I expelled?" "No, Cadet. We're trying to understand how you defeated 2 of our top students using techniques we've never encountered." "Oh," Emma brightened. "That's easy. It's just basic grappling." "Do you guys not have grappling, like, at all?" The silence that followed was profound. "Could you elaborate?" Rahil asked carefully, as if afraid the wrong question might shatter something important. Emma shrugged. "Sure, okay, so humans are kind of weak, right? Like, compared to most animals on Earth, we're not that strong or fast. We don't have claws or armor or venom or anything cool, so we had to get creative about fighting. We developed systems based on leverage, positioning, and understanding how bodies work. Any body, not just human bodies." She pulled up a basic anatomical diagram on her tablet. "Every species has joints, right? And joints move in specific ways with specific limitations. Every species has a nervous system with pressure points that, if you hit them right, cause pain or temporary paralysis. It's just biology. Once you understand the structure, you can figure out how to control it." "You're describing applied biomechanics," Talana said slowly. "As a combat system." "I mean, yeah. That's basically what wrestling and jiu-jitsu are. You learn how to control someone else's body using their own structure against them. You don't need to be stronger. You just need better positioning and understanding of leverage points." Zilax leaned forward. "Cadet Johnson, our combat systems are based on species-specific advantages. Vraxians use overwhelming strength. Silurians use speed and precision. Kaeldrans use strategic positioning and tool usage. Each species fights according to their evolutionary advantages." Right, and that's exactly why my techniques work. Emma gestured enthusiastically, warming to her topic. You're all optimized for specific approaches, which means you all have predictable patterns. Cathorvax assumed his strength would dominate, so he charged straight in, left his entire neck vulnerable. Lirana relied on her reach and speed, but once I got inside her range, those advantages became weaknesses because she'd never trained to fight from that position. Hale's manipulator tendrils were shaking as he processed this. You're saying humans developed combat systems that specifically counter natural advantages? Well, we developed them to counter human advantages initially. But yeah, the principles work on anyone. If it has joints and a nervous system, you can submit it. Emma paused. That sounded more ominous than I meant it. Demonstrate, Azila commanded. Not on a person, on that training dummy. She indicated a standard combat dummy designed to help students practice strikes. Emma approached the dummy, which was configured to roughly Vraxian proportions. Okay, so this is basic stuff. Let's say this dummy is trying to grab me, like Cathorvax did. She moved through the motion slowly. I'm rotating my shoulder backward. Yeah, like that. I know it looks weird. To slip under his arm. Now I'm controlling his wrist and elbow simultaneously, which creates a structural lock. His strength doesn't matter because I'm working against his joint's natural range of motion. If I apply pressure here, she indicated a point on the dummy's arm, I'm triggering pain receptors while also compromising structural integrity. She flowed through the movement, ending with the dummy in a position that made several observers flinch in sympathetic pain. That's 47 points of potential failure I just created in his attack, Emma explained. And that's just one basic technique. I know like hundreds of these. Most people who train seriously know hundreds. We've been developing and refining these systems for thousands of years. The implications detonated through the room like shaped charges. Thousands of years, R. Hill repeated. You're telling me humans have been systematically developing combat techniques designed to overcome superior opponents for thousands of years? Oh, way longer than that, probably. I just mean recorded history. Humans have been wrestling since, like, forever. There are cave paintings of it. We just really enjoy figuring out how to beat each other up without killing each other. Emma grinned. We're competitive that way. Azila exchanged glances with the remote representatives from Defense Force Command. She could see her own dawning horror reflected in their expressions. Cadet Johnson, Azila said carefully, how common is this training among humans? Wrestling? Pretty common. Most schools have teams. Jiu-jitsu and judo are popular too, and there's boxing, kickboxing, MMA, that's mixed martial arts. It combines everything, karate, taekwondo, kung fu. Emma started counting on her fingers. There are like dozens of different martial arts systems. Some are sport-based, some are self-defense focused, some are traditional. Pretty much every human culture developed some kind of combat system. How many humans know these techniques? Emma considered. I mean, millions? Tens of millions actively train. Hundreds of millions have at least basic exposure through school programs or casual training. It's pretty normal. The room's temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Let me be certain I understand, Azila said, her voice tight with controlled alarm. You're saying millions of humans are trained in combat systems specifically designed to defeat opponents with superior physical advantages, using techniques based on universal biomechanical principles that work on any species? Yes? Emma looked confused by the question's intensity. Is that a problem? Cadet Johnson, you've defeated two of the most elite combat specialists in the known galaxy in a combined total of less than 8 seconds, using what you describe as basic techniques. And you're telling me millions of humans can do what you do? Oh no, Emma laughed. No, I'm not that good. I was just decent in high school. There are way better fighters than me, Olympic-level wrestlers, professional MMA fighters, martial arts masters. Those people are insane. I'm like barely intermediate level. Maybe. The horror on every face was palpable. Barely intermediate, Zilax whispered. She's barely intermediate. Commander, one of the Defense Force representatives spoke up, his voice tight. We need to escalate this to the Security Council immediately. Our entire strategic assessment of human military capabilities requires comprehensive revision. Agreed, Azila replied. She turned back to Emma. Cadet Johnson, would you be willing to teach these techniques to our instructors? Emma brightened. Really? That would be awesome. I mean, you'll need to adapt stuff for different body types. I don't think you can do a proper rear naked choke if you don't have a neck, for example. But the core principles should transfer. When do you want to start? Immediately. Azila stood, decision made. As of now, you're assigned to the Combat Theory Department as a special consultant. Your primary duty is to work with our senior instructors to document and teach these human combat systems. Class attendance is secondary. Oh, cool. Does this come with a pay increase? Because I'm on a scholarship and student loans are... Cadet Johnson, you're going to revolutionize warfare across 300 species. Yes, you'll receive appropriate compensation. Emma pumped her fist. Sweet. Okay, where do we start? Rahil pulled up a holographic training schedule. We'll begin with basic principles, then move to species-specific adaptations. I'll need detailed biomechanical analyses of each technique, probability matrices for various combat scenarios, and... Or, Emma interrupted gently, we could just go to the gym and I'll show you how to do an arm bar. Sometimes the hands-on approach works better than theory. Rahil stared at her. You want to just teach us? Physically? That's how I learned. Coach Martinez didn't start with probability matrices. He put us on the mat and said, don't let your partner pass your guard. We figured it out from there. Azila smiled, the first time she'd smiled since this crisis began. I think, Dr. R. Hill, we should follow Cadet Johnson's teaching methodology. Clearly, the human approach to combat education is more effective than ours. But Commander, we need to... Doctor, she defeated our 2 best students in 8 seconds total. Her methods work. Let's learn them her way. Rahil's academic distress was visible, but he nodded. As you command. Emma stood, stretching casually in ways that still made the xenobiologists uncomfortable. Great, this is going to be fun. Fair warning though, you're all going to be super sore tomorrow. That's just how grappling works. Lots of weird muscle groups get involved, but don't worry, the soreness fades after a few weeks. As Emma headed toward the training facility, followed by the Academy's entire senior combat staff, Azila activated her secure communicator. Defense Force Command, this is Academy Commander Azila. Confirm receipt of combat footage and preliminary analysis. Recommendation: immediate galaxy-wide reassessment of human military capabilities. They're not Category 7. They never were. We've been catastrophically wrong about human combat potential from first contact. The response came quickly. Assessment committee forming now. What category do you recommend? Azila watched Emma demonstrate a casual hip throw on instructor Zilax, dropping the veteran combat instructor to the mat with effortless precision while explaining the physics involved. I don't know what category they are, Azila admitted, but I know we need a new one, because whatever humans are, they're something we've never encountered before. They're adaptation predators. They evolved to overcome anything, and they've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of fighting. Smarter instead of stronger. She closed the channel and followed her staff to the training room, where Emma Johnson, age 19 from Iowa, barely intermediate level by human standards, was about to teach the galaxy's military elite that everything they knew about combat was incomplete. And somewhere in the station's medical bay, Cathorvax and Lirana were watching the training feed together, 2 undefeated champions united in their newfound understanding that being undefeated simply meant they'd never fought a human who knew jujitsu. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had known for millennia. Intelligence beats strength, technique beats size, and leverage beats everything. And it all started with one girl asking where the cafeteria was.